Okay, so now we will speak about unusability. Have you ever seen this? Did you know? It's the Jewish Salif. It's a Philip Stark. Have you ever tried to squeeze an orange? Normally what happens is that you try the first time, but it's very difficult because when you put the orange here and do like this, it will move and will scratch the table. It's impossible to take it. There is no way of keeping it. And last but not least, if you ask to a friend to keep it, when we squeeze the orange, some of the juice will go here, but most of the juice will go like this. So we need 4 glasses to catch the girl. So what you do normally, this is a very used wedding present. You put in the dishwasher, wash it, and you put in the staying room as beautiful things. Then you go to the market, you spend 2 euros, you buy this stupid thing, and you squeeze the orange. Why I tell you this? Because usability and being beautiful normally not always go together. You can make horrible things also with simple things. Many years ago, I was in the house of a friend of mine, and I've seen that she had the finger cutted. And I asked what happened. And she told me I squeezed an orange. I say, okay, it's so dangerous to squeeze an orange? Of course. If you use this stupid kind of squeezer, will be very dangerous because you cut yourself. This is not usability. A great example of very good usability comes from these kind of things called OXO. It's not very well known as a trademark, but you find everywhere. And these things, they have an interesting story because this lady, that was is the wife of this man, had this arthrosis. Arthrosis is a very bad thing that makes your hand difficult to use. And so he was an engineer, began to study things to be used in the kitchen that are easy to use with problem in the hands. They had a huge success because things that are easy to use for people with problem are easy to use also for so-called normal people. And so they had this great success. There are some symptoms of unusability. One symptom of unusability is what I call the yellow post-it syndrome. You see? Here there is a lot of yellow post-it around. When you see somebody that is using a piece of software and there are some yellow or other color with notes, means that the system is not usable, it's not capable to tell, and so they had to take notes. This is another interesting story. This is my wife. She she fell down and broke an hand. And then when she recovered, we went to the Gaetano Pini hospital in Milano to take out the immobilization. And there was the normal check-in and the automatic check-in with a machine. Of course, I told her, let's go to the automatic check-in. Nearby the automatic check-in, there was a lady dressed with white, helping customer to use it. And I asked her why you do something automatic, and then you need to help people to use it because it's too difficult to use. These are symptoms of unusability. Another symptom is this kind of user-generated manual. These are real pictures I've done all around the world. The machine for paying the parking normally are so bad that somebody puts some notes in order to explain to the other what to do. And this is very, 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 very common. You know? Then there are incredible things. Here is another machine, and this says in Italian, before putting the money inside, knock in order to have the money go down easily. You can imagine. You have problem putting the money. Instead of making a better way, you put a manual. Now there is a manual over the machine in order to explain how to use it. And this is another important symptom. Every time you need a manual can be 3 words also like this, something is wrong. The system should be self-explanatory. This is, I think you know, if you ever took the train in Italy, this is to validate the ticket, and they had to, you know, the machine is very bad, because if you do something normal, it is to put something inside, will not work. You must put on the side and then move it. Instead of changing the mechanics, they put, please, put the ticket and then move it. This is the Frecciarossa. Have you ever been in Frecciarossa? Frecciarossa has the top class where they give you to eat. There is a place to cook. Me and Paolo, many years ago, worked in Rome. We were living practically in a Frecciarossa. The cooking system is so difficult to open that they needed to put a manual on how to open. But the most important thing is the manual where is inside. So if it's closed, you don't have access to the manual on how to open it. This is very clever if you think. This is very common. This was an hotel in Zagreb, and you know, in an hotel, you need a manual in order to understand how to open. Here you have do not touch, because it's an emergency button. They've put the emergency button in the wrong place. So people, instead of pressing in emergency, they were pressing to try to open the door, and the police arrived because this is the emergency button. Instead of moving the button, they put the manual on that. A few years ago, I bought a toaster. You know, a toaster is something very simple. You put 1 or 2 pieces of bread, and you push the button, and it should take out. The manual was 22 pages. 22 pages of manual for a toaster. And this is, you know, every time I found some stupid thing like this, I take a picture, and there are a lot of them. If you try to explain something, you must be sure to explain. Have a look to this. This is an automatic teller. You look and say, okay, fantastic, there is the green sign, but the green sign are practically all equal. So they don't say nothing about the usage. We must take in account of an important ergonomics concept, that is affordance. Affordance is when something is capable to tell you how to use it. You know, for instance, the affordance of the door in that case, it's good because you see these things, you push and you open. This is totally stupid. Here is written push, but this is a pull handle. So we should do it in a different way. I already told this. This is the right way. Where you push is like this, where you pull is like that. And we, as designer of interface, are lucky. Because here, to change something, I need the mechanical work. In our case, there are mechanics. It's very easy to change. The problem is to think the things in an exact way. The water tub are normally a nightmare. It happens very often in hotel that they have this tap water very sophisticated, and it's very difficult to understand how to open, how to, say, move to make hot water, cold water. And what they came out with? A manual. Something that should be totally simple. Say, a total different story is the toilet in Japan. We have a Japanese friend here, if I remember well. You know the toilet in Japan? Normally the toilet in Japan, they have 25 buttons and they are fantastic because they wash you, they do everything. I remember the first time I went to Japan for work. I was working in a hospital, and I asked it to a colleague, because, you know, everything is written in Japanese. And she told me, okay, try, but stay away from red buttons. It could be dangerous. But it's very, very, if you go to Japan, it's an experience. This is another thing. This is a power distribution, gasoline distribution station nearby my house. When I arrive with my car, it's like this. Where is the diesel? And where is the gasoline? How can you tell different things? Simply, you cannot. So, nothing is written, because it's written there. But this is a totally stupid thing, because I need to know where is the gasoline or the type of fuel I need before entering. Not when I entered, if it's wrong, I am already in the wrong place. So, take in account the model of usage. Model of usage means I think I am a driver, I want to do that, and I enter. Another important thing is to mimic real word. You know, these are the command to light up the different fire. Which is the best one? Which one do you prefer? The lower. Because the lower is mimic, you know, this and this. Immediately you understand that this is this. Up there is very difficult to say. And you need to put, again, a manual. A totally useless manual, because it's a line. This is fantastic. I live in south of France. These are still there. Piéton pour traverser, pousser le bouton rouge. Means pedestrian to cross, press the red button. You know, I say, how can a normal person think to use the red in order to make people cross? They have never seen a traffic light in their life. There are even worse things. Piéton, passer, cross. Wait, and then to cross, push, and the button is red. So there's a total misconception. Then, if you go to look somewhere else, the button is green, but is indicated red. What means? Means that nobody has thought to make the thing in a usable way. Then there are these stupid things. You can imagine that traffic line, or here, turn left. Where do you turn here? No, it's very dangerous. Open the door, push the red button. In the train, in some of the train, opening the door is a totally stupid thing. And so on. This is beautiful. You read? We are at Cape Cod. You know what is Cape Cod? Cape Cod is the cape that is south of, it's between Boston and New York. Is the best place for lobster. You know, you have an emergency. You go to this telephone, it says, dial 999. And it's difficult to dial 999 where there is 1, 2, 3. And so what I did, I went to the police. And they say, listen, I'm a professor of ergonomics. Could you please explain me how can I dial 999? And they told me, no, you dial 1 for big emergency, 2 for ambulance, 3 for police. I say, okay, yes, you're right. We have changed the telephone, but nobody thought to change the indications. And this is something that you will find in a lot of websites. Indications that are different from functioning. You must be careful. Then you remember we spoke about customer point of view. This is fantastic because we have always given to children these kind of things that are very good for parents. Children see horrible things without any appeal. Oh, that's cancer. This is very common in Italy, and means that is for big belly men that like barbecue. No, this is for pregnant lady. But you know, the designer did a horrible thing. Again, user model. This was an hotel in Paris, and I went to wash my teeth. You put the toothpaste, you wash, but the water comes when you have your hand in front of this infrared sensor. But if there is no infrared sensor, there is no water. So you find yourself with the toothpaste in your mouth and you don't know how to clean it up. Because if you do like this, nothing happens, you must move and then the water comes in your hair. You know, it's again, something that was not taught the way it should be. It's clear, the concept? Horrible tap water, you will see a lot of them. Very difficult to use, you know. Yeah, you cannot work it. That's fantastic. I was in the house of a friend of mine. I went to the toilet, and there was this waiting system with all these manuals. Why there are the manuals? Because it says, be careful. If you go on the scale after you took a shower, you will be very slippery and you can fall in the ground. And this is very common, but this is very stupid. If there is a danger of falling in the ground, you should change the surface, not put a manual, because nobody will read the manual unless he is in the hospital with a broken leg. Push pad to open, automatic door. What is automatic in something that is that needs to be pushed. This is fantastic. I was in Beijing. What is the meaning, lotus flower, I think? Any Chinese can tell us what is the meaning of that? A restaurant means. So I stopped it, and then I entered the restaurant and say, listen, but you have a restaurant called translation server error? And they told me, I know it's a problem because when we built up the restaurant, my wife went to the internet looking for the translation, and that was the result. You know, this is very interesting because if I need to translate from Chinese to English, means that I know Chinese. So the error message should be in Chinese, not in English. Otherwise, we'll not. And there's another thing, deformed person is not exactly what we say of a person that needs a problem. That's very interesting. That's Tokyo. What's written there? Can you read in Chinese? What says?
Yes, the system is broken down and please wait for patience.
Okay, so exactly the opposite sense. Please wait, we cannot. Please wait patient for the failure of the system. Okay. This is New Delhi. No, I think the lady from Delhi, they know this carpet because all the airport is full of this carpet. Eating carpet is prohibited. And, okay. Hand grenade. But that's a real, they're not. Dai resto from the rest, you know. And there are a lot of this. This is very interesting. This was the Italian railway. Fuori servizio means out of service, not outside service. When I have seen it, I was imagining the American arriving and saying, no, I cannot do it here. I must go outside of the station to do things. Open 24 hours, after hour 2, to play. Ring has been translated to play. Close if. Chiude da sé. Transistors interdicts, okay. This is very complex things. Another thing is, when you write something, you must take in account the usage. This is the toilet of an hotel. One is shampoo, the other is body soap. Which is the most important thing to know here? Which is shampoo, which is the toilet. So use. What they have done very readable this and totally unreadable this. You cannot even understand. So again, model of usage. You are under the shower. You are all full of water. You want to find the shampoo. You need to read very well what is the things you are using. This is an interesting thing. In my life, I've traveled a lot, and I have noticed that there are some airports where it's very easy to find the gate, and some other where it's very difficult to find the gate. And I know why. In some airport, it becomes extremely easy because the number of gates is like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you are in number 3, you see that this is number 1, this is number 4. If you need number 7, you know that it's somewhere here. In some airport, and Stockholm Airport is one of them, It's done like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's totally impossible to, unless you know exactly how long, is to understand where to go. This is another important thing. You know, sometimes you have a few minutes to change your flight, and it's very important. Here, the model of usage should be well known by everybody, because we do all use this. You can imagine this model of usage, or even this is worse. This is a Manhattan hotel. I remember I was there. I've done what I needed to do. And then I was like this, looking for toilet paper, because toilet paper was in the back. But there are some rules. You remember, we spoke with standard. We go, you look, and there are standards. This is interesting. This is an office. This is the main office of the Italian railway. Instead, when you exit the toilet, instead of making the door opening inside, they've done open outside, and there are a lot of people is passing by. So sometimes they were boom. And so instead of changing, they put the manual. This is fantastic. You should go. This is in Corso Vittorio Emanuele. Corso Vittorio Emanuele is near the Duomo, and the Feltrinelli bookstore. You know, here there are some books, a lot of books. And here there is a sign. The sign says, be very careful, because there is a stair there, you could fall down. But if I am here and there is a cart there, what I do to read it, the first thing I do is like this to read it. So I think that has been designed by the Association of Bone Surgeon to get some customer. This is another what means. Oh, this we can switch. Another technology that are sometimes impossible. You know, many years ago, they were like this. You have your name and push the button. Here you have a system. You need to find the name, find the number, put the number, then R to reset, C to cancel.
And my post box is 23.
Yeah.
And as a foreigner, I have something to say. For me, it's even worse because I have to put my personal name, my personal data.
Yeah, oh, that's another story, sure.
That's absurd. Like, just use number.
Sure, but sometimes people put number. You know, this is, you remember we spoke about this type of, this is the machine to take in ticket. You know, they are totally stupid because you put the card here, you get back here, or here and here, or you move around. It should be done in a different way. You start and tam, tam, tam. Why is so complex? Because they don't care. They are like programmers. They don't care about the customer. They care about how easy it is to build it and to maintain it. This is interesting. If you want to go to Malpensa Airport from Milano, in the first page of the ticketing system, there is Malpensa Airport. So you can push here and then it. But there is also biglietti ferroviari, means tickets. If you don't see this, and you push biglietti, in the biglietti, say, the destination list, there is no Malpensa, because Malpensa is here. And this is totally stupid, because you cannot see it, but if there are the destination, you should put all the destination. Do you see something wrong here? Something strange? Really? There is no Milano in the word? No, you have to choose from a list that comes down, but it's not written. And it's very stupid, because if I write Milano, you should understand. You know, we speak about artificial intelligence. You don't need artificial intelligence to understand that Milano. But they don't care. In elevator, sometimes you find incredible things, especially in the US. It takes half an hour. And I know number 4 goes to level 3. Number 3 goes to level 2. This is a Rockefeller Center in Manhattan. It's not in the middle of nowhere. These are some errors. There are not many that are in the subway of Milano. Line 1 is red. If you do line 1 card in yellow, people will be totally upset. Then usability can be extremely vast. You say, is a debit? Press yes or no. And then there is a card that says, debit card user must press no. So you ask me, is a debit card? But if is a debit card, I must press no. Can you explain me why? And this is more or less the same.
Isn't many of those examples like the problem where the designers, let's say, they had to pay some money to build it, and then in the end it didn't work. So now instead of wasting money to redesign it, it's cheaper.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, no, they don't test it because it's a problem of testing. Here is, you ask €200, that is more than 250. It's not, no. This is something interesting. It's called collision. You know, in the past, when you had a computer, you took out the keyboard and says, no keyboard present. Press F1 to continue. But press F1 where if you don't have a keyboard? But why this come? Because errors are done by putting together message. This is not bad. But again, because this is a person listed in a family certificate, in taxes. When they did, they decided to put together and not to change. This is interesting. You are all old enough to know life. You know, once I was in Newcastle Hospital, and the lady was with me. I say, "Wow!" Say, what happened? And says, family planning advice. That practically means how not to make children. And then say, use the rear entrance. That is a little, say, questionable. Of course, they were speaking about the rear entrance of the building, but that's something I have seen in South Africa. Toilet, stay in your car. Then I asked the meaning. I was in a place that was a military place, and so the idea was go with the car to the toilet instead of walking because it's forbidden to walk. But if I say toilet, stay in your car, can be a little tricky. I know that the lady will not understand very well, but no, that's a real. I did these pictures. You know, you can imagine using in 2 people this one. This is interesting. It's a fee for parking in the wrong place, and says, was impossible to give the fee to the driver because the car was going too fast. You know, you are parking and you are going too fast. Again, is a collision between two concepts. Oh, that speaks alone. In software, you find a lot of this. An unnamed file was not found. It's difficult to find an unnamed file. And there are a lot of things. Unable to display this message. And you know, about software, you can find a lot of them. This was something happened to me in Manhattan. I had to prepare a presentation, paper presentation, for the morning after. I went to do and read, that is a place open all the night, and they bought a scissor. But in order to open the scissor, you need a scissor. If you don't have a scissor, you cannot use it. Sometimes unusability comes from reason that we know. You know why the typewriter has this QWERTY? Why comes?
Because of those mechanical
Yeah.
elements, so they like studied.
Correct.
Were like the most used ones, so when you like press, they don't collide.
Correct. So the most used together are the farthest. Means that is done to slow down typing. Now, with electronic system, you could go extremely fast. But at the end, we all learned and it was impossible to change.
Yeah, but the French.
Oh, but it's for the same reason. Huh? They are different because the languages are different. My wife is using, it's a horrible thing. My wife is using the French keyboard. And the French keyboard, the numbers are on down and the letter up. Horrible. Sometimes some unusability comes from falling in love with technology. Who is this guy? People who invented the gramophone. It's Thomas Alva Edison. Thomas Alva Edison invented a way to reproduce sound. You know why it was invented? Which was the main purpose at the beginning? Any idea? It was for teaching English to immigrants at that time. And he was a technological savvy man, and he has done disc like this. Because if you do a disc that is a cylinder, the speed on the disc is always the same. So the reproduction is better. But in order to have 100 songs, you need a place like this. So another guy called Victrola came and say, I don't mind if it's a little less producing, but I will use flat disk. And now we don't use any more disk, but flat disk has been there. This is another interesting thing that they call the Kama Sutra effect. You know Kama Sutra? What is? I am an expert in marriage. I married 4 times. And with my last wife, no, they are all alive, nothing horrible. We have a tradition. When she goes somewhere in the world, I send her, and I am not there, I send her roses. Because I did at the beginning, it was a long story. 25 years ago, I sent roses in Kerala. It was not so easy, and now it is. And here I am trying to buy roses. And they are telling me that the system is down for 18 days, 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 32 seconds. You know, you can imagine, this is the programmer that wants to show that is capable to do strange things, but is a totally useless thing. It would be much better to say the system will start up again this day. Milano. If you wanted to go from one place to another, it takes 3 minutes and 58 seconds. Oh, that's really... Then another problem is information overload. You can imagine a person passing by here and try to find something, but it's almost finished. It's not always easy. You know these two types of thermometer? Which is the best one? The electronic one. Who is for the electronic? Who is for the other? You know, all of you have done an error. You cannot answer to this question because you must understand the type of usage. In this case, the electronic is fantastic for hospital. It's fantastic if you have a child, and so you measure very often. But if you have an electronic and you are well, and after 1 year you need to measure your temperature, the battery will be down. And that one will last forever. So in a house, generally it's much better to have this that are not mercury, it's thallium now. So there are different cases. In other cases, even different one. In the case of COVID, you need not to touch the patient, so you use this. So when somebody asks you, is better this or this, you must go back to the definition. You remember the definition of usability and say user, type of user, condition of use. But we must go behind usability. Behind usability, there is something that's called cocooning. Cocooning is a way of saying that you do something very good for somebody. Cocooning, you wait a person and you decide to put some lights, to buy a cake, to put some flour, and so on. Also in our work, we can cocoon. One case of cocooning that impressed me a lot is this one. This was in Göteborg. And every morning I was going in the hospital, from one part of the hospital to the other, crossing this. I was a doctor and not. I was in the hospital, the right part of the blues. I was looking at this, and I was asking myself, what the hell are these? And you know where I was? A lady told me, if you have shoes like this, you will understand that makes a lot of difference, because you can go normally without breaking everything. Another way of cocooning is tomato ketchup. Instead of writing, put this upside down so that goes out easily, what they did, they put the label upside down. But this is even fantastic. If you are reading this, your pizza is upside down. The last one says, and so what? Your user requirement include 400 features. Do you realize that no human will be able to use a product with that level of complexity? And he says, good point, would be better to us, easy to use. This is the way we should not do usability. We will learn how to do usability in another way, making things really usable. So, if you want to contact me, you can find me Skype. I don't use too much, but Facebook and Twitter as Roberto Dadda, and also LinkedIn. I'm always Roberto Dadda, so if you contact me, it will be a pleasure to be in contact with you. Any question? Hoppla.